Hey guys, it's Clark here, and today we're going to be talking about why using Supabase as a backend might not make sense for your project. First, let's quickly go over what Supabase is. It's an open source Firebase alternative that provides a Postgres database, authentication, and other backend services. It's been getting a lot of hype over the years, and a lot of developers like it because of its simplicity and ease of use. This is especially because of the JavaScript SDK, which makes it very easy to work with Supabase. Now, even though this sounds nice, there are a lot of limitations when using Supabase as your backend that you should be aware of. One of the biggest issues with Supabase is its row level security, or RLS. While RLS is a powerful feature, implementing complex rules can quickly become a nightmare. Now, this isn't a Supabase specific problem. This is also common in other backends as a service like Pocketbase, but you will find that implementing complex rules are a nightmare. Another problem is the limited server-side logic. To achieve the server-side logic, Supabase allows you to access the database triggers, which you can set up through the GUI. It's not really the most intuitive process, and it can be really painful to set up compared to writing your own custom backend in a traditional format. Using triggers to completely replace your backend is very tough and can lead to a lot of circumstances where you just don't expect something to happen and it does. So triggers are definitely not the way to go. Now let's talk about latency. So far, everything that I've talked about hasn't really mattered as long as you're doing something simple and doing something on the client side. This gets bad because if you want to add extra server-side logic, you're adding another layer between the user and the database. So let's imagine you have a server. The client makes a request to your server to get the HTML page. Once your client has the HTML page, they decide they want to load some extra information. So they make another request back to your server, and your server then makes a request to Supabase's server, who then makes a request to their database. Once it requests the database, it goes back to Supabase's server, then to your server, and then back to the client. Now, as you can imagine, this is not the most streamlined way of doing things, and it will almost definitely introduce some latency into your project, and latency is not always good. Actually, in all cases, it's bad. It's really like a game of telephone, and latency can really add up. So this is not really ideal for performance critical applications. Now, Supabase also has an edge runtime, but don't get too excited. It also comes with its own set of limitations. You don't have any shared context, and you still need to make requests to the Supabase server and database. So it's not really going to be the seamless experience that you're hoping for. So when you have a project that needs a lot of server-side logic, Supabase probably isn't the best bet. What you can do though is just connect to the Postgres database that's hosted by Supabase, and then you can just interact with it like a normal database, and all of the information that you've already saved will be in there as well. So while Supabase may be really appealing at first glance, it's important to remember the limitations, and when you need any complex business logic, it's almost always best to use your own server in the traditional way.